Today I'm gonna talk about vasopressors, which, when, and how long. Firstly, only 26% of the vasopressors doses are documented right in anesthesiology reports, which is important because most of the time we give the vasopressors to the patients in acute phases, and the nurses or the doctors cannot report the doses of the vasopressors rightly. So major vasopressors are phenylephrine, norepinephrine, epinephrine, vasopressin, and dopamine, which is a dose-dependent vasopressor, and also an inotrope. We have three major receptors for vasopressors and inotropics. Alpha receptor is a peripheral vasoconstrictor usage, and the beta-1 receptor have mostly positive chronotropic and inotropic effects, and beta-2 receptors act as vasodilators. Phenylephrine is a pure alpha-1 agonist. It is inducing the peripheral arterial vasoconstriction and leading to an increase in blood pressure, mean arterial pressure, and systemic vascular resistance. And norepinephrine has mixed alpha and beta activity, which has higher activity in alpha than beta-1, and beta-1 and has a higher activity in beta-1 than beta-2. And this leads to a more significant increase in blood pressure than increased heart rhythm. And blood pressure, mean arterial pressure, systemic vascular resistance, and cardiac output are increased with norepinephrine. Epinephrine has essentially equivocal activity on alpha-1 and beta receptors, and this increases systemic vascular resistance, heart rate, cardiac output, and blood pressure. Dopamine is a precursor of norepinephrine and epinephrine, and it works as a dose-dependent inotropic and vasopressor. At low doses, which is lower than 5 microgram kilogram minute, it activates the renal artery vasodilation. But between 5 to 15, it works as an alpha and beta adrenergic increaser in renal blood flow, heart rate, contractility, and cardiac output. But higher doses, greater than 15, the main effects are on alpha stimulation. And vasopressin acts on V1 receptor and V2 receptor. The first one is a smooth muscle contractor, and the second one is an antidiuretic. So there are no inotropic or chronotropic effects, but blood pressure and vascular resistance are increased. All of these vasopressors increase vasoconstriction, systemic vascular resistance, mean arterial pressure, and perfusion to organs. We use epinephrine in cardiogenic and vasodilatory shocks, cardiac arrest, bronchospasm, anaphylaxis, and symptomatic bradycardia or heart block, which is unresponsive to atropine or pacing. You can see the doses down. And we use norepinephrine in shock, and you can see the dose down. And we use dopamine in vasodilatory and cardiogenic shock, heart failure, and symptomatic bradycardia or heart block unresponsive to atropine or pacing. And phenylephrine is used in hypotension and to increase mean arterial pressure with aortic stenosis and hypotension, and decrease Levott gradient in hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. And vasopressin is used in cardiac arrest and shock. Dopamine has adverse effects like hypotension, tachycardia, local tissue necrosis, and gangrene if extravasation occurs. That's why we don't use dopamine as the first mediator in shock and cardiac arrest. Epinephrine has tachycardia, anxiety, pulmonary edema, local tissue necrosis with extravasation adverse effects. And norepinephrine has similar adverse effects like epinephrine, but it may also include bradycardia and dysrhythmia. Phenylephrine has reflex bradycardia, decreased cardiac output, local tissue necrosis, peripheral, renal, mesenteric, or myocardial ischemia adverse effects. And vasopressin has arrhythmia, mesenteric ischemia, chest pain, coronary artery constriction, MI, bronchial constriction, hyponatremia, and local tissue necrosis. Because of these adverse effects and sudden cardiac deaths, we should monitorize the patient. Firstly, the vital signs, fluid status, and laboratory markers should be monitored. And arterial blood pressure should be monitored also. We can also use pulmonary artery catheters, and the cardiac monitoring for dysrhythmias should be done. For patients who can speak, we should see the patient for pain at the vascular access, chest pain, peripheral numbness, abdominal pain, and neurochecks. So when should we start the vasopressors? The American College of Critical Care Medicine says that mean arterial pressure of 60 to 65 is required to perfuse organs. That's why if after appropriate fluid resuscitation, if the mean arterial pressure doesn't improve to about 60, it is recommended that vasopressors be initiated. Norepinephrine is recommended as the initial vasopressor per the Surviving Sepsis campaign recommendations. And vasopressin or epinephrine are the two recommended vasopressors to add, although the evidence for these recommendations is still considered weak. And phenylephrine should be used with extreme caution because of the reflex bradycardia due to unopposed vagal action on the heart, which may be associated with its use. How long should we use these mediators? Actually, there are still no consensus about it, but there was no statistically significant increase in mortality in patients in which we use vasopressor infusions lower or higher than 48 hours. That's why the different hospitals and different clinics use different time lapses to use the vasopressors or inotropics. If hypotension persists, we can use the vasopressor infusions actually for first 7 days until we reach the blood pressure of 90 or 85. In cardiogenic shock, which most commonly occurs in the setting of acute myocardial infarction, cardiac output is diminished. There is a decrease in diastolic blood pressure and increasing hypoperfusion and organ dysfunction, worsening cardiac damage is set. In AHA 2017, recommendations for cardiogenic shock is initial management is a fluid challenge of 250 to 500 milliliters. But if a persistent hypotension is set, we can add inotropes or vasopressors. No mean arterial blood pressure or blood pressure minimum has been extensively studied, but the reasonable goal is 65. And for some studies, norepinephrine is primary choice, which has fewer dysrhythmia with dysrhythmia than dopamine. After the spinal anesthesia, phenylephrine infusion can be used, both prophylactic and in case of hypotension. And the alternative vasopressor is norepinephrine. In emergency service, pre-intubation, some clinics made some studies and used phenylephrine, but push-dose phenylephrine has really higher side effects like cardiac arrest or CPR. So after all studies and meta-analysis, more evidence is needed, not better than classical infusion for now, and the mortality is higher, but it can be still used in some cases. The access should be intravenous, and continuous infusion should be used. All the peripheral IVs are suitable for short-term use. Adverse effects can occur, but the main method of choice should be central access. The contraindications for vasopressors, the main contraindication is anaphylactic hypersensitivity reactions. And for adrenergic agents with halogenated hydrocarbons like halotan during general anesthesia, they shouldn't be used. And we should avoid in patients with pheochromostoma or uncorrected tachyarrhythmia. There are relative contraindications for dopamine. It shouldn't be used as the first-line vasopressor in septic shock because we use norepinephrine, as dopamine has higher mortality and dysrhythmia. As for toxicity, we shouldn't use adrenergic vasopressors with monoamine inhibitors, or we should use lower doses. Thank you very much.